Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is my voice audible?
Audible, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you so much. Some problem. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Welcome, Murali Murari, Prabhu, for this today's session. So I just take this opportunity to welcome His Grace Murali Murari, Prabhu, for the Nityam Bhagavata Seva session. And I am also welcoming each one of you for this session. So without taking much time, Prabhu, please kindly go ahead and then deliver the nectar to us. Hare Krishna.
So nice. Hare Krishna. Welcome all the 10 of you for the Nityam Sevaya. Thank you so much for the organizers to give me an opportunity to purify myself. Whatever I say, whatever I read, it is to purify myself. And if it can help to you, you can also follow that. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranjaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mutiraye Nastapayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Some caution to you, by any chance my laptop went off. It happens sometimes. It goes off automatically and starts again. It will take 1 minute to restart it. If at all any such thing happens, please tolerate it. That's it. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29. It's a talk between Narada Muni and King Prashinabhari. So today's verse is verse number 74, and prior to that, at least 5 verses I want to see before that what is really happened so far. It is Narada Muni's instruction to Prashinabhari, and Narada Muni explains the mind is a cause of living entities attaining a certain type of body in accordance with the association with the material nature. That's what Narada Muni says. According to one's mental composition, one can understand what the living entity was in the past life, as well as what kind of body he will be having in future. Thus, the mind indicates the past and future bodies. Sometime in a dream, we see something never experienced or heard in our life. But all these incidents have been experienced at a different time, in a different place and in different conditions that we should understand. Narada Muni explains further, the mind of living entity continues to exist in various gross bodies, and according to one's desire for sense gratification, the mind records different thoughts. In the mind, these appear together in different combinations. Therefore, these images sometimes appear as things never seen or never heard before. So further, Krishna conscious means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it is not always possible. So like that, it is Narada Muni going on explaining, and verse number 73, yesterday's verse, when the living entity dreams, the sense objects are not actually present. However, because one has associated with the sense objects, they become manifest. That's what was the previous verse. Now, verse number 429-74. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit sodasa vishtratam yesa chaitanya yukto jiva iti abhidiyate. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit sodasa vishtratam yesha chaitanya yukto jiva iti abhidiyate. Evam, thus, panchavidam, the 5 sense object, lingam, the subtle body, 3 with influenced by the 3 modes, sodasa, 16, vistratam, expanded, yesa, this chaitanya, with the living entity, yukta, combined, jiva, the conditioned soul, iti, thus, abhidiyate, it is understood. Translation and purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The 5 sense objects, the 5 sense organs, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the mind are the 16 material expansions. These combine with the living entity and are influenced by the three modes of material nature. Thus, the existence of conditioned soul is understood. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, Mamaivamsa Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasastani Indriyani Pragatistani Karshati. The living entity in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which includes mind. Here it is also explained that the living entity comes in contact with the 16 material elements and is influenced by the three modes of material nature. The living entity and this combination of elements combine to form that is called Jiva Bhuta, the conditioned soul, that struggles hard within material nature. The total material existence is first agitated by the three modes of material nature, and these become the living conditions of the living entity. Thus, the subtle and gross bodies develop, and the ingredients are earth, water, fire, air, sky, and so on. According to Sri Madhvacharya, when consciousness, the living force in the heart, is agitated by the three modes of material nature, then the subtle body of the living entity consisting of mind, the sense objects, the five sense that acquires knowledge, and the five sense for acting material condition become possible. Jnana Indriya and the Karma Indriyas is talking about. So let me pray to my Guru. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamagyam Tadatvita Padantigam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sridhapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sakarjadam Sagana Raghunathanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakha Vijamta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhupye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Parshatya Tejasarine Namo Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratuje Namaha Nama Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hidaya Cha Daityaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Tasat. So, once again, thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Srila Prabhupada gives in this purport the identity of the living entity. The living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of Supreme Lord, eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in the conditioned life. In his liberated state, he is one with the Supreme Lord. Not possible. He is eternally fragmented. It is clearly said, Sanatana. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions, of which the primary expansions is called Vishnu Tattva. And the secondary expansions are called the living entities. In other words, Vishnu Tattva is a personal expansion, and the living entities are the separated expansions. By his personal expansion, he manifested in various forms like Lord Rama, Lord Narsingadev, Vishnu Murtis, and so many forms, and predominating deities of the Vaikuntha planet. The separated expansion, the living entities are eternally servitors. The personal expansion of Supreme Lord, the individual entities of the Godhead are always present. Similarly, the separated expansions of the living entities have their own identity also. As a fragmental part and parcel of Supreme Lord, the living entity also have fragmental portion of his qualities, small portion of his qualities, of which independence is one out of the qualities. Every living entity as an individual soul has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of that independence, one become conditioned soul. How one become conditioned? This is the way you should understand. And by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it is minute. In his liberated state, he freed from the material conditions and he is under the engagement of the transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature, 3 modes of material nature, and he forgets the transcendental loving service to the Lord. As a result, he is struggling very hard to maintain his existence in this material world. The living entity, not only human being, but the cats, dogs, so many, all the animals or trees, but even greater controllers like material world, like Brahma, Lord Shiva, even Vishnu, all are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. They are all eternal, not temporary manifestations. The world in this Karshati, it was indicated, Mana Sastani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati, struggling or grappling very hard. The conditioned soul is bound up as though shackled by the iron chains. He is bounded by the false ego. The mind is the chief agent which is driving him to this material existence. That we should understand. When a mind is in the mode of goodness, their mind can be in mode of goodness or in passion or in ignorance. But in the mode of goodness, its activities are very good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, the activities are troublesome. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, he is traveled to his lower species of life and his qualities. It is clear, however, that the conditioned soul is covered by the material body with the mind and the senses. And when he is liberated, then this material covering perishes. But the spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity. That we should understand. He stated that the living entity gives up the material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world. He revives his spiritual body. And in his spiritual body, he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face. He can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as it is. That is the meaning. From Smriti, also it is understood, Vasanti Yatra Purusha Sarva Vaikunta Murtaya. In the spiritual planet, everyone lives in the body featured like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the 400 forms. As far as bodily construction is concerned, there is no difference between the part and parcel living entities and the expansions Vishnumurti. In other words, at liberation, the living entity get a spiritual body by the grace of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this, what you see, when it's explained, Mamaivamsa, fragmental part and parcel. The fragmental portion of Supreme Lord is not like some material broken pieces, the fragments. No, not like that. It is indicated here, it is eternal, Sanatana. The fragmental portion is eternal. It is not matter. It was also stated in Bhagavad Gita, the spirit cannot be cut into pieces. That's what we see in second chapter. Second chapter also it explains fragmental portion is eternal. It is also stated in the beginning of second chapter that each and every individual body, the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is present. In that. The fragmental portion, when liberated from the bodily entanglement, revives its original spiritual body. The spiritual sky in the spiritual planet and enjoy the association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is, however, understood here that living entity being a fragmental part and parcel of Supreme Lord is qualitatively one with the Lord, just as a part and parcel of the gold is also gold, even though it is a very, very minute fragmental part, but qualitatively it is equal to the qualities of the Supreme Lord. To understand all these things, we should understand this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Urdhamulam madasakam asvattam prahuravyayam sandamshesya parnani yastam veda savedavit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is a knower of the Vedas. The people who are doing Bhakti Sastri, this is a very, very important particular verse for them to understand the spiritual sky and the material world. Okay. Further, it is stated that the branches of these trees are extended downwards and upwards, nourished by the three modes of material nature. How the tree has been nourished? By the three modes of material nature. Adaschadvam pradastasya saka guna pravirda vishaya pravaraha. The twigs, further, the twigs are the objects of the senses, and the tree also roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive action of the human society. Karmanu bandhana manushya loke adacha milanti anusantani karmanu bandhana manushya loke. It is connected to the actions of the human society. Bound. The description of the banyan tree is further explained here. It branches spread in all directions. In the lower part, there is a variegated manifestation of living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, cats, whatsoever. They are situated in the lower part of the branches, whereas in the higher part, there is a form of living entity, demigods, Gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. Yes, a tree nourishes by water. This tree nourished by the three modes of material nature. Sometimes we find the tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water. Lack of water, it will be barren. And sometimes tract is very, very green. Similarly, when the particular mode of material nature are proportionally greater in the quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. It's based on that. The modes, combination of the modes, whichever it is more, that qualities will be there. The twigs of the tree further, it is sense objects. By development of different modes of nature, we develop different senses. And by the senses, we enjoy different varieties of sense objects. The tips of branches are senses, the ear, nose, eyes, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense objects, like the twigs are like sound, form, touch, and so on. The sense objects, the subsidiary roots of are attachment and aversion, which are the byproducts of the different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. The tendencies towards piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which are spread in all directions. The real root is going to Brahmaloka. Other roots are in the human planetary system. After one enjoys the result of virtuous activities in the upper planetary system, he comes down to this earthly planet to renew his karma or fruitive activities for further promotion. This planet of human being is considered to the field of activity, like how the body is considered as a field of activity for a living entity. Same way, this earthly planet considered as a field of activity for further, whether to go to the upper planetary system or liberate from the material world or going down to the other planetary systems. All these activities happening by binding force of three modes of material nature. All we should understand that. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are the three modes. Individually, we can understand happiness and knowledge. We are in the mode of goodness, happiness, and the knowledge. But if you are pride about I am very happy and I got a lot of knowledge, it is stated, then you will be conditioned again by that. Even though you are in the mode of goodness, it can condition you by your prideness, right? By intense desire and attachment, you can understand we will be in the mode of passion, desire, and attachment. If you are having, we can self-analyze what is the status in which we are. If you are having more desire and more attachment to these material things, then we are in the mode of passion. By then by madness, illusion, and sleepiness, we will know that we are in the mode of ignorance. All the three modes we can visualize by our own analyzing our own self. We also get to information from Bhagavad Gita. Not only this, whatever the worship we do, whatever the food you eat, whatever the austerities you are perform, whatever the sacrifices you are conducting will differ. It will each and everything will differ according to the effect of these three modes of material nature. Correction. About the worship, Bhagavad Gita stated, men in the mode of goodness worship demigods. Those who in mode of passion worship demons. Those who are in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirit. Yadante satvika devan yaksha rakshamsi rajasa pretan bhuta gunapchainya yadante tamasa jana. Further on the sacrifice performed according to the direction of scripture as a matter of duty and by those who desire no reward is in the real nature of goodness. So worship is on three modes of material nature. We understand whom we are worshipping. Further on the sacrifice, what we are performing, that also should be in the mode of goodness. When in the mode of goodness, according to the direction of scriptures, you will have to do it. And as a matter of duty, you will have to do it. You should not be bound by any other thing. And you should not expect any reward from that. That is in the mode of goodness. So here also there are further than the austerities. As I mentioned, austerities consist of austerities of the body, austerities of the speech, austerities of the mind. All the three are there. We will see what is austerities of the body. It is consist of worshipping the Supreme Lord, Brahmanas, spiritual master, and superiors like father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. When all these are there, then the austerity of the body we can maintain. It is stated further how to speak, what to speak, austerities of the speech. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam yat swadhyaya abhyasanam saiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Anudvega karam, not agitating. Swadhyaya abhyasanam, and Vedic study. Swadhyaya, Vedic abhyasanam is practicing. Austerity of the speech consists of speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and are regularly reciting Vedic literatures. One should not speak in such a way to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when this is not applicable to spiritual master teacher, because he will have to instruct his disciple. He can speak the truth for the instruction of his student. But such a teacher should not speak, even though teachers cannot speak to the people who are not his students. And then if they agitate their mind, that also not correct. So anything, one should not speak such a way to agitate the mind of others. This penance, as far as talking is concerned, besides that, one should not talk nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circle is to say something upheld by the scriptures. If you are speaking to the devotees, we can talk about scriptural injections and so many other things we can discuss. But if you talk about loosely something, but it is, we should control ourselves. We should elevate ourselves from those platforms. One should at one quote from spiritual authority, and that is better. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ears. By such discussion, one may derive highest benefit and elevate human society to a higher level. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature available, like Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. What else? You can, this is called penance in the speech. Then further going to, we saw the bodily austerity and austerity in speaking. Now, how we can austere our mind. To make a mind austere is to detach from the sense gratification. We should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna consciousness. Satisfaction is the mind can be attained only by divert the mind away from the thought of sense enjoyment. That's the only way. Higher taste. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways of sense enjoyment, and so there is no possibility of mind becoming satisfied. The best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, as I said, which is full of satisfying stories like Puranas, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, so on. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think the welfare of all. Rather, we should be silent. Very difficult to be silent. At least we will be thinking how to become silent. How we can become silent. In Tamil, they will say, Summa iru. Summa iru means very, very difficult. Do nothing. Say, be silent. That's what they say. The people will be thinking how to become silent. Even that activity will see is not silence. Right? So silence means that one always think for a self-realization. The person in Krishna conscious observe perfect silence in this sense. Control of mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in dealings and thereby purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerities of mental activity. So, satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. Manaprasada samyatam maunam mata vinigraha bhava samshuddhi iti etat tapamanasam uchyate. So, what we saw, the austerities of mind, austerities of speech, of body, everything. There are threefold austerities. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tabastat trividam. Trividam. The threefold austerities, performing with the transcendental faith by man not expecting material benefit, but engaged only for the sake of Supreme, is called the austerities in the mode of goodness. So this is the way we can achieve the mode of goodness. And the austerities we can perform in the mode of goodness. Therefore, the transcendental is undertaking performance of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with the scriptural regulations. Begin always with what they will chant. They will start with Om, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Like that, anything they will start, they will refer to the Supreme Lord, to attain the Supreme. And when they ending it, they will do with Om Tat Sat. You might have heard this from Guru Maharaj. Whatever the activity Guru Maharaj does, whatever the speech he is giving, delivering any lecture, he will end with Om Tat Sat. Right? Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Okay. Starting till end, all activities, mode should be for the Lord, by the Lord, and to the Lord. Then it will be transcendental. 1 minute. So, for the Lord, by the Lord, to the Lord, Bhagavad Gita Lord says, Yat karoshi yat tachnashi, yat juhoshi tatasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushvam attarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. That's what Lord says. Thus, it is duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of the body and the soul together. And Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live. Therefore, he should accept the remnants of the foodstuff offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. That is called Archana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna conscious movement. So our temple needs so much of funds for completion. So those who are having surplus, they should come forward to do help so that we will get a wonderful temple. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process. Everywhere you go outside our community, I will not say it is in our community. If you go outside, everybody want to go for yoga, meditation, all those things, which is not practical in this age of Kali. But if anyone practice meditation on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting Krishna, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare around his beats, he is surely the greatest meditator and he is the greatest yogi. That's what you should understand. So all of you can be proud. If you are chanting properly, then you are all great yogis. That is the only thing that can lead to your pure bhakti towards the Supreme Lord. That's why the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says about what is bhakti. Bhakti, it is explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirvalam risikena risikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam, free from all kind of material designations, or free from all desires except the desire of rendering service to the Supreme Lord. Tat paratvena, by the sole purpose of serving the Supreme Personality, Godhead. And nirmalam, that is uncontaminated by the effect of speculative philosophical research or fruitive activity. So risikena, by the purified senses, risikesha, the master of senses, sevanam, to do the service. So bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme Lord, there are two side effects. One is free from all material designation and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So there's a wonderful sloka from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam risikena risikesha sevanam bhakti uchate. Bhakti or devotion service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One, he is freeing from the material designation, and other thing is all his senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. We will see the examples later. So, how to engage the senses properly? How to engage the senses properly? It is also stated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in 234. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavat grahim indriya sevan muhehi digvado swayam eva sruti ata. The people, once again I'm telling, the people who are studying Bhakti Sastri, they might have completed all these wonderful slokas. Atha, therefore, it starts with Atha, therefore, because Krishna's name, form, quality, all are in the absolute platform. Krishna Namadi, Lord Krishna's name, quality, pastime, so on. Na bhavet can be grahyam, perceived, indriya, by the blunt material senses, seva unmukhe, to one engage in his service. Jighvadav, beginning with the tongue, swayam, personally, like that. Normally, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, quality, but we will have to spiritualize. When the conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and render service by using tongue and to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified. And one gradually understand who really Krishna is. This is the way we should understand. That's why that's called Krishna conscious. That's why Prabhupada always insisting on chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you are using your tongue in doing the chanting, it is getting purified and you will be gradually understand in the transcendental chanting stage who Krishna is really. You will be conversate with him. That is the thing. So in Swaiteswara Upanishad, it was stated, Navadvare Pure Dehi Hamso Lilate Bahi Vashi Sarvasya Lokasya Stavarasya Charasya Cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is telling who is a living within the body of living entity, Supreme Lord. He is the controller of all the living entity all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 anus, and gentle. The living entity in this conditioned stage identifies himself with the body, but when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just free as a Lord, even while living in this body. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person, he is free from both outer and inner activities of material body. That's what we should understand. So, today's Srimad Bhagavatam verse in the purport, what it was stated, the 5 sense object, the 5 sense organs, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the mind are the 16 material expansions. These combination with the living entity and are influenced by the 3 modes of material nature. Thus, the existence of the conditioned soul is understood. Sorry. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, in Bhagavad Gita 261, if you see, one who tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vasehi yashendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. So, one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, fixes his consciousness upon me, is known to be a man of steady intelligence. So, in this way, I read something by Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj. He said, the whole Bhagavad Gita, if we want to remember a single word, what Maharaj says, if you want in the whole Bhagavad Gita, one single word we will have to remember. That is in this this thing only. That is what is the verse number? It is 261. Tani sarvani samyamya. Samyam. What is the meaning of samyam here? Maharaj is explaining. If you want to remember a single word, then it is samyamya. Samyam. Srila Prabhupada in his word to word equivalent has mentioned the meaning of samyamya as keeping under control. Keeping what under control? See, everything we should have under control. That's why samyamya is becoming very, very prominent. We all know that Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all creation. Our existence in this world is also because of his mercy. He has given us this life and all the basic necessities like air, water, food, clothing, shelter. What else you want? In spite of knowing these truths, our senses go hither, thither, and here and there, and just like a mad elephant spoil the paddy field. Our wandering senses not only drive us crazy, but also cause havoc in the lives of people around us. It is not only it is spoiling our mood, but senses, uncontrolled senses, not only spoiling our thing, but the people around us also getting disturbed. So we should be having a control, samyamya. So the keep under control. But how we can control the senses? Is it possible to control them? So these are the things which is questionable. To make us understand practically samyamya, Srila Prabhupada in his purport is to the above verse gives us an example of life of Maharaja Ambarisha, who in spite of being ruler of the whole world was able to have a perfect control over the senses. Even under testing situations when Durvasa Muni was out of envy, misusing his mystic potency, and created demon to kill Maharaj Ambarisha for having taken a water before offering in food. Not a very big mistake. He just want to break, but before breaking, he want to take a little water. I don't know. So that was a great devotee, Ambarisha, was doing the small this thing before offering food to Durvasa Muni. Neither, but Maharaja Ambarisha, even though Durvasa Muni trying to create a demon to kill Ambarisha, but Maharaja Ambarish never got agitated. He never sad. He neither fearful nor did he cry for Supreme Lord to protect him, provide him justice. Nothing he did. He is not fearful. You know, essence, see, godliness is essence of fearfulness. If you understand, if anyone is fearless, it means there is a part of godliness is there. He never cried. Ambarish Maharaj never cried to Supreme Lord, please protect me, provide me justice, because Duras.
Hare Krishna devotees, I think there is an internet disconnection. Prabhuji will be back again. There is an internet connection disconnection. I think Prabhuji was mentioning about some issues in the laptop, so I think he will be back again. Kindly be with us.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnava Vanshan.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
You can hear, because that, as I told you, that suddenly went on. Sorry for that.
Okay, Prabhuji, no problem.
Okay. So we were discussing about Samyamya and Maharaj Ambarisha. Neither he got agitated nor he sad. He was neither fearful nor did he cry for Supreme Lord to protect him from the injustice of Durvasa Muni. He was simply thinking of the lotus feet of Supreme Lord in his heart and consider
Prabhuji,
his...
can you turn on the camera, Prabhuji? The camera is off, Prabhuji.
Camera is off, okay. Is it okay, Prabhu, now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Sorry, Prabhu. Because once went on, everything went on, once again I revived. This was because of this practice of engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. Maharaj Ambarisha, what he did, he engaged all his senses in the service of the Lord. So it is stated in Bhagavatam 9:4-18:20. Savai manap Krishnarapadara vendayor vasamsi vaigunda gunanu varnane karan harer mandira marjanau shrutim shakshachuta sat kadodaye mugunda lingalaya darshane dashau tat britir gatar sparsha Anga Sangamam, Granamna Tat Pada Saroja Saurabe, Srimat Tulasya Rasanam Tat Arpite, Padau Hare Kshetra, Padanu Sarpane, Siro Risikesha, Padabi Vandane, Kamam Chadayatu, Kama Kamaya. So, Maharaja Ambarisha always engages his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of the Krishna. His words are describing the glories of the Lord. His hands is cleaning the Lord's temple, and his ears are hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temple, and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his senses of touching in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his senses of smell in smelling the fragrance of the tulasi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasada. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places of the temple of the Lord. He sits bowing down before the Lord. In all his in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarisha never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service. In various engagements related to the Lord, this is the way to increase attachment to the Lord and completely free from all material desire. Each sense you will have to engage. One sense, 4 Kumaras, they smell the tulasi leaf, they got liberated. So we should use each and every one of our senses so that we can get out of this material entanglement and always be living in a transcendental way. So we should all follow Ambarish Maharaj. That's what we say. So in this today's verse, we had seen how the senses are to be controlled and how the mind is the cause of all this entanglement, and how we can go to the mind in a mode of goodness. We will have to pass on to further from the mode of goodness to the Suddha Sattva state. Then only we can reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all this we should understand. I want to end here by all we should follow Maharaja Ambarisha. Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna. Sorry for something happened between because my laptop totally went off, and once again revive it take another 5-10 minutes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you
Pranam.
for sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam,
Yeah.
especially emphasizing the importance of engaging the mind in the service of the Lord and following the footsteps of Ambarish Maharaja.
Yeah.
Also, you emphasized on the speech of austerity and how should one actually be cautious while we are speaking. And also, you mentioned about the importance of silence. Silence means only studying and talking about Lord Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for wonderful nectar. The devotees may please unmute your lines and share your comments or reflections, please, or any questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Prabhu, you said we have to be in Suddha Sattvam to reach the Supreme Personality. Is that possible in this lifetime?
Why will have to think about what is, that's why it was stated, Mataji, in the mode of goodness. We talk about Suddha Sattva is beyond mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness also, the people can be conditioned, it is stated. So it is very, very difficult to go to the other state, because when you are getting a goodness, you will always feel, oh, I am good, I am good. That feeling of I am good, I am having a high knowledge, that itself is make you to condition, because you are pride, when we are doing that, we become, we are pride about it. So difficult, but to practice. So many great devotees, they achieved it, is it not? Prabhupada says he is very giving lot of confidence that by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 24 hours a day, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At least one transcendental chanting we will do, that will connect us to the Supreme Lord. That's the way.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, devotees, any other comments? Questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Remembering the word samyam,
Samyam, yeah, control.
That was very nice. So that one word itself.
Yeah, that's what is Prabhupada says. That is a word you should always remember. Even Mahavishnu Swami insists that word you will have to always keep. A controlling of everything, mind, senses, our activities. We should have that control, discipline. More or less, that's why we called as disciples of a guru. Discipline is most important.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna. Dhanavad, Prabhu.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
It looks like there are no other questions.
Okay.
So we can end today's sessions with Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Tarubhasya,
kripa
Kripasindhubhyevacha,
sindhubhyascha
Patitanam
patitanam
Pavanebhyo,
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavibhyo,
vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
Anandagudi Vaishnava ki jai. And Asya
Prabhupada
Bhagavata
ki
jai.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees will be ending the Zoom session.
Hare Krishna.